Student body presidents did their last-minute campaigning today. There was dancing and chanting. You've seen them all in the pit waving their signs around. The polls closed just 15 minutes ago. We'll be finding out who our upcoming student body president is in the next hour, if everything goes according to plan. Good evening, I'm Kathleen Whitting.
And I'm Preston Jones. Thanks for joining us for this special election edition of Carolina Week. There weren't any campaign violations this year, but now there is a lot of confusion about the voting process. And computer problems are at the heart of things tonight. Sydney Swafford, now a Carolina Week reporter, served first on the Board of Elections last year and has some firsthand experience with all that's going on. Now, Sydney, what is happening with the technology side tonight?
Well, Preston, I think it simply boils down to the computer system messed up. There were some technical difficulties. When I logged in to vote earlier, it put me in the wrong district for Student Congress. Now, voting for the wrong district in Student Congress is an honor code violation, and there's no way to get to the student body president nominations until you vote for your Student Congress district.
Now, Sydney, I voted earlier, and when I was on there, I was a little wary of voting for the wrong thing, clicking on the wrong button, something like that. Is that turning voters off from voting in this election?
I think it is. I spoke with the BOE around 8:30 p.m. And last year, we had more than 7,000 voters turn out for this initial election. Now, today, around 8:30, that number was just over 4,000. So that's almost a 3,000 voter difference. That's a big deal.
So when students couldn't make it through the regular voting system, what were their options?
Well, your option was first to email the Board of Elections themselves. And that email account is done through a listserv through UNC. And once it hits 100 emails, it shuts down for the day. And that's what happened today, was that they got 100 ballots in via that, and the listserv shut down. So students didn't know what to do. Now, there was a Facebook campaign publicizing a couple of other email accounts they could send ballots to, but you can't get the word out to every student that way.
So would you say that there were definitely some votes lost tonight?
I would say for sure.
All right, well, that's Sydney Swafford joining us live at the top of the show. We'll check back in with Sydney later on tonight. Just who are the three L's? Limenstall, Lewis, and Longest, the three candidates for student body president, and we're going to introduce you to them tonight. First, we'll meet Will Limenstall. Reporter Avery Harper found out all about his green platform.
This is Will Limenstall. He's a junior geography and environmental studies major from Greensboro. The student body president hopeful hasn't stopped smiling since the campaign began. He's excited to be one of the few that made the ballot.
I mean, I feel very lucky to have made it this far.
Despite his lighthearted personality, he's serious about his platform. The 3 E's: efficiency, equity, and environment.
When you look at things through that framework of efficiency, equity, and environment, you find solutions that are perhaps more holistic.
Limenstall has been painted as a green candidate, but he wants students to know his platform is much more complex than that.
Environment is not just about being green, but making Carolina safer, more inclusive, and more intellectually dynamic.
Limenstall wants students to know about the many opportunities available on campus. That's where the 3rd E, equity, comes in. He wants to create a website that lists all the financial opportunities available to students.
It basically would bring together all these different financial resources at Carolina that already exist, but they're not really necessarily publicized as well as they could be.
He also wants to work closely on one of the most important issues facing UNC students, tuition. He's created a detailed plan.
It's really imperative that Carolina remains a public and a state-supported university rather than a state-assisted university.
Limenstall just wants the chance to serve the student body.
At the end of the day, I would not be the boss. The students are always going to be the boss. And
Will Limenstall joins me live in the newsroom. How are you, Will?
I'm great, Avery. How are you?
Okay, so if you're elected student body president, what's the first thing at the top of your list to do?
The first thing I want to do is get started building a good, strong student team to run student government next year. Work with the outgoing administration to make sure that we're as educated as possible on the tuition and budget kit situation, and start getting to know and introduce myself to the Board of Trustees.
Okay, so what's your stance on tuition? What would you have done differently if you had been president in the past year?
The main thing that I would have done differently this past year with tuition would have been to definitely start earlier and start thinking about this earlier and start gaining student input earlier. The second thing we would have done differently was look for all allies across the state, whether it's the city or town mayors of cities that have state universities or whoever it is. We want to work with them.
Okay. And why do you think it's been such a peaceful election this year?
I think it's been peaceful because I really think that all of the candidates who are in this race have been in the race for the right reasons. I think they've all done it because they love Carolina and they think that they're the best candidate, and it's been wonderful.
Okay. And how will you be involved if you're not elected?
I'm not sure yet. I'm really passionate about environmental issues, and I'm really passionate about the budget cut and tuition debate. And so one of those things I would definitely stay involved in.
Well, thanks for joining us, Will. I'm Avery Harper, live in the newsroom. Back to Kathleen in the studio.
Thanks, Avery. Some very important questions to hear from Will and his thoughts. Well, you might recognize our next candidate if you frequent Top of the Hill on Saturday nights, which I won't lie, I usually do. Reporter Katie Murray shows us how Calvin Lewis could transition from bouncer to president.
Calvin Lewis is a junior ROTC cadet majored in peace-sworn defense. He's already been protecting and serving our campus as program manager of UNC's Safe Walk and as a bouncer at Top of the Hill. But since his freshman year, his #1 goal has been to become student body president.
I want to really reach out to students and get students to know that I have a sincere desire to represent what they need represented.
His campaign slogan is people, not politics. If elected, Lewis says he wants to include students in student government with town hall-like meetings where students can come and voice their concerns and ideas.
Someone can take down these ideas, you can create that dialogue and you can document that dialogue. You get a lot more student input.
As for tuition, Lewis knows he can't lower tuition, but he hopes to represent the students better by forming stronger relationships with board members.
Whenever we make a proposal, they're more likely to listen to it because it's not just some student that sits on the board, but it's someone that they actually know and can connect with.
If elected, Lewis wants to adopt the ways of his ROTC instructor, Master Sergeant Larry Thomas.
In every unit that he went to, no matter how the unit was when he got there, whenever he left, he wanted to make sure that he left it better than it was when he got there.
Lewis says his leadership skills and determination make him the best candidate to get things done. Calvin joins me live in the newsroom. How are you, Calvin?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing well. So, Calvin, if you were elected student body president, what's the one thing you would like to accomplish next year?
The one thing that I would like to accomplish next year is focusing on the students, making sure that I get as many students involved in the process of student government as possible, and just creating a student government that students feel that they're really represented in.
And then what would you take on tuition? And if you were president this past year, what might you have done differently?
My stance on tuition is to just stay involved in the debate. And as far as this year is concerned, I definitely would have started a little bit sooner, and I would continue to fight.
And this campaign season has been a lot different than last year's. Can you tell me why you think it's been a lot more quieter and peaceful?
I think all the candidates came into this debate or this process thinking that we are the representatives of UNC, even as candidates, and it's very important for us to maintain that professional environment that UNC has.
Okay, and in the past and right now you're involved with the safety committee. If you were not elected president, would you stay involved with them, or how else would you get involved with the student government?
I would definitely remain heavily involved with the Safe Walk program, and I would be readily available to, help in whatever way I feel duty calls.
Well, thank you, Calvin. And I'm Katie Murray, live in the studio. Back to you, Preston.
All right, Katie, thank you. And now for the last official candidate, Tim Longest. Reporter Natalia Perez found out what all he stands for.
Meet Tim Longest, a junior economics and philosophy double major and mathematics minor from Greenville. He believes his commitment to including students in student government is what makes him the best student body president pick.
I believe that student government has for too long been an organization that claims to be an advocate for students while being exclusionary.
Longest's campaign slogan is reclaiming community, refining student government, and renewing the Carolina way. All three make up the core values on which he says he plans to base his candidacy.
Those values are reclaiming community, which means that I want to make a community that's just, fair, and affirming at UNC, refining student government to make it a more efficient and inclusive organization, and renewing the Carolina way, which is just, again, commitment to affordability and accessibility.
If elected, Longest plans to give the student body a voice through initiatives like the petition page on his website. It's
a way for students to directly voice their concerns, their ideas, their innovations, their hopes to student government, and to see student government take action on that.
In terms of tuition, Longest understands he can't single-handedly solve such a huge issue, but he plans to work very closely with the university and the state on students' behalf.
We need to do everything that we can to restore that commitment between the university and the state, and to remember that this is a university of the people.
Longest says his commitment to empowering students makes him the best candidate for the job.
Good evening. Tim Longest joins me live in the newsroom. Tim, how are you? How's your day been so far?
Well, it's been quite a busy day for me. I've been running around, and I just came up here from Hoja.
So if elected student body president, can you tell me what the #1 point on your platform you'd like to be implemented is?
The first point and the primary point that I would like to implement would be restoring student government to an organization that focuses on advocacy for students. And the most important way I think that we can do that is to really bring student voice to the fore in student government conversations. And so the primary method that I want to use to do that is to create a Hark the Sound petition page where students can submit any complaints that they have or on any issues they would like to see addressed.
Now, tuition. It's about the biggest topic in this year's election. Can you tell me what you would have done differently if you were in Mary Cooper's presidency seat this year instead of last year?
Well, I don't think that we can really guess how we would have dealt with it in her situation because we didn't have the facts that she had. But I think that I would have started earlier. I would have done a lot more research earlier, and I would have spread the message to other schools a lot earlier and gotten a coalition built a lot earlier in the process.
Okay. So why do you think this election season has been so much more peaceful than last election season?
Well, I think after last election season, we started losing faith in our student government, and that's something that's been coming for a long time. But I think every candidate in this race is very committed to making student government something that can be respected and to really build student faith in it again.
Okay. And if you weren't elected, how would you say you would be involved?
Well, I would stay an advocate on tuition and affordability because that's something that at this point I've been very committed to for a long time and will continue to be so.
Okay, well, thank you. Thanks for joining us, Tim. I'm Natalia Perez. Back to Preston and Kathleen in the newsroom.
Thanks, Natalia. We have Sydney Swafford back with us now. So, Sydney, the boys told us about themselves. What can you tell us about these candidates?
Well, I think you've got a lot of experience laid out in these three candidates. If you look at their records in student government, you've really got some qualified candidates this year, and I think it's going to be a tough choice.
Now, Sydney, you've been a part of student government before, and a lot of these candidates said that they want student government to be more of an advocate for students' voices. Do you feel like student government currently does not serve that purpose?
That's a loaded question. I think every year you see candidates who really push student government to be more of an advocate for the student voice. That's going to happen every single campaign season. That's on everyone's platform. And I think student government doesn't go far enough. I think that's an adequate platform point, that we need to be doing more.
Right.
Sure. I was actually speaking with Mary Cooper this morning, and I found it interesting listening to each of the candidates talk about what they would have done differently with all the tuition issues. And they kept saying, I would have started earlier. And Mary Cooper said, well, you know, I would have liked to do that, but it just sort of came up. It wasn't something that she was planning on dealing with. It was something that was thrust upon her. And she said that she hopes that the new candidates know that so many of the issues that they will truly have to deal with will be the ones that they aren't anticipating. Do you think these candidates are ready for that?
Judging by their experience solely, I don't know them personally, but their experience, I think, speaks bounds as to how prepared each of them would be to step into office. Especially, though, with tuition, you know that's going to be an issue. And I think that's something that these three candidates have adequately addressed in their platforms. And you can't get elected student body president without knowing your stance on that. And they must know that that's going to be a huge issue next year.
Well, that's what they think, but the Board of Governors this past Friday passed a tuition increase for a plan over 2 years, which means that next year we will not be dealing with these tuition increases. It's already set. So for 2012, 2013, and the year after, we already know what the tuition increases are going to be. So I'm wondering what's setting apart these candidates besides them all saying we want to work on tuition earlier, you know? So I'm paying more attention to Tim Longest says that he has this thing developed on his webpage called Your Voice, and he really wants students to be able to get their voice out, and he wants to be a common denominator for them in the university. What do you feel about his plan on that?
I think it's a great idea, and I think that you need more ways for the student body to put their names on a list and say, this is what we think. It's a lot easier than saying, come to a forum, come talk with us, because people aren't going to do that. Ultimately, if you can go online and read a petition or read a platform and say, oh yeah, you know what, I do agree with that, let me show my support, and put your name on that list, that's a great way to figure out what students are thinking without pushing them into a situation where students aren't going to respond.
And we need new initiatives like this. With every new student body president, we get the new programs, we get the new initiatives. And I guess my question is, do the new student body presidents usually keep up the programs from the previous student body president? Is that an important thing to them? I hope so.
I think a really good example is this year's, what Mary has done with Carolina Creates, and actually Ian Lee is working with her on that particular program. Hogan Medlin started that last year. It's a big arts initiative on campus, and now we've got music playing in the pit. We've got art exhibits in the Friday Center, which is off campus for some of our continuing education students to enjoy art majors on campuses work in other spaces. I think that's a really big piece of committing to the role, is looking at what your predecessors have valued and continuing that.
All right, Sydney, thank you for your expertise. We'll rejoin with you later in the show.
All right.
South End, but what are the students thinking about these elections? Up next, we'll show you what students in the pit had to say about voting day.
And make sure to check out our partners at reesenews.org. They're live tweeting and showing you behind the scenes of tonight's broadcast.
My name's Reggie. Just recently, my wife and I took in her sister's children. Now, we already had 4, so I went from becoming a family man to a man with a bigger family. Now, you can't eat love, so I don't know how I'm gonna feed them tonight. How was that, Rich?
I think I look more like Denzel.
That's cold, man.
Play a role in ending hunger. Visit feedingamerica.org/hunger and find your local food bank.
How you doing? My name's Steve. My family's lived in this neighborhood for years. Recently, things got so tight, we had to go to our local food bank for help. I lost a lot of sleep worrying about what the neighbors might think. That is until I saw them there, too. How'd I do, Steve?
A little stiff. You could have done a little better.
What? Come on. You know, I have an Academy Award.
Yeah, but not for playing me.
Play a role in ending hunger. Visit feedingamerica.org/hunger and find your local food bank.
When tragedy struck Indonesia and Haiti, the world responded. The famine, war, and drought affecting the Horn of Africa right now is larger than both these crises combined, and the world should be paying attention. Text a donation of $10, but do more than donate. Forward the facts to everyone you know. Forward from our site, forward on Facebook, and forward on Twitter. We are the relief.
Let's go, man.
Hello, ladies.
Can you imagine your life without animals? Here at the Durham Animal Shelter, we can't. So come see us. Your new best friend is already expecting you.
Let's give it a shot. You can do it this time. I gotta get a real dog.
Welcome back to Carolina Week. We are live in Carroll Hall awaiting the 2012 UNC election results, and we've just gotten word that the BOE is on their way. 15 minutes, and we should have those results.
We just introduced you to our 3 official candidates for student body president. Their names were on the ballot.
But there is always the option to write someone's name in. Reporter Sydney Swafford introduces us to a candidate who decided to bypass the official process and run a write-in campaign.
Min is fighting for student body president. He can't speak at most of the debates or campaign in the dorms. His name won't even be on the ballot. Min is running what he calls a serious write-in campaign for SBP, something Carolina students haven't seen in a long time.
You know, they come up to you and say, hey, so what are you trying to make fun of? I'm not trying to make fun of anything. I'm not a joke. I'm a serious candidate.
Min is a double major in psychology and women's studies. He went to high school in Raleigh, but is now considered an international student. Min collected almost 1,000 signatures. 3 years ago, that would have been enough. But this year, that's nearly 300 short.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Though his name won't be on the ballot, Min hasn't dropped out of the race.
It was a really tough decision. I didn't want to give up because, you know, we put so much effort into this campaign.
So Min and his team of about 15 are still campaigning. He's got a full platform up on his website. He's in the pit every day with a sign, ready to convince students that he's worth their vote.
I really want this because I care about Carolina, and I believe that I can do something about it.
And if he loses, Min says he will still work with student government and other organizations to put his platform ideas to good use next year.
And I'm here with write-in candidate Brian Min. Brian, how are you feeling tonight?
You know, I'm feeling really good today. I don't know why, if it's maybe because it's Valentine's Day or Election Day. It's just one of those days that I woke up and I was like, you know what? I'm going to have a good day today. So.
Brian, what did you do today in order to get your name out there?
I did the pretty much same thing as other candidates did. You know, online, offline, we try to be visible as much as we can. Facebook, Twitter, you know, I was in the pit all day today. So, you know, we were trying to be visible as much as other candidates.
What do you think your chances are of being elected?
You know, that's a really good question. I'm going to say it's a fair chance of winning. But, you know, it's something that didn't happen at Carolina for decades. You know, they didn't have serious writing candidates. So that's something that really differentiates me, and hopefully that, you know, improve my winning chance.
Brian, if you are not elected, how will you still be involved?
You know, I didn't give up. You know, even though I didn't get enough signatures to be in the ballot. And I think that, you know what, this is not going to stop me. I think that I'm going to continue being student government, continue being involved, because I really, at the end of the day, I really want to make a difference at Carolina. So.
And lastly, Brian, what has been the most rewarding experience?
I would say working with my team. I know we didn't have a big team. We had about 10 to 15 members, but, you know, it was really, you know, we had a tight relationship. We became best friends, and I think that it's really important that we have many students who have the same, you know, mindset.
Thank you, Brian, for joining us here tonight. Live in the newsroom, I'm Amber Roberts. Back to the studio.
Thanks, Amber. Now, while candidates have been out there encouraging students to vote, it turns out some students weren't all that interested.
We sent reporter Caitlin Yannick out to see what the election buzz was today, and, well, there was a common theme.
No.
I did.
Couldn't even tell you what they're running for.
I did.
No, I didn't.
Not yet.
Are you going to?
I am today because a girl I work with said that her boyfriend is running, and so I said I would.
No, I didn't. Like, I just really don't understand what they do.
Vote for what? It's just a vote. I feel like my vote's not going to change anybody from winning or not.
I don't even think my voice will be heard if I vote.
Didn't know about it, I guess. I feel like I could have known about it, like to the DTH and stuff, but I don't really read the DTH.
I really don't like student body president elections. Why? It's just more people yelling at me to do stuff, and I don't really think that it's that big of a deal, so I just try and ignore them. It's just one of those things for me that I feel as if it's pointless, you know? Like, I know, like, they get their pictures on a poster or two every now and then in student body, but, like, what actually do you do? Very true.
I feel like there's a lot of just talk, like, oh, I'll do this, but I feel like nothing ever changes.
If they actually say what they're going to do and implement their plans like they say they will, I feel like they can create change.
I don't actually know if they've ever enacted anything.
Whether they can make all the changes that they want to is a different story. I think they can definitely make some good changes, but they kind of need to focus on one or two things because a year isn't long enough to make all the systemic changes that they want to make.
Minimally.
I don't know what they do. It's kind of hard for me because I just see them in the pit with their names and they tell me to vote for them. But hey, what are you doing for me? No, it's more of like they come up with ideas and then the school is just like, oh, hey, we'll put this on the refrigerator so you can see it every day, but they don't actually do anything. Like, I seen a guy with a sign today that said, people, not politics. People. But I need a little bit of politics in my president, you know, just simple and plain. Like, I want somebody that's for the people as well, but I want somebody who's gonna bring it to me.
It's been really chill. I'm a senior, and so I saw last year's, which was really dramatic. So almost kind of boring. I was looking for something to keep me entertained, but nothing really happened.
I feel like it's a lot calmer than last year. Last year was a little hostile for me. I felt a little violated as a student with the horses and the kvetches, and it just got a little out of control. I'm really happy about this season.
Okay, so a few positive attitudes out there about this campaign season, and hey, maybe we have a candidate who can change some of the others' minds.
But a lot of skepticism. It seems like those students
Absolutely.
weren't really digging this election season too much.
Not a whole lot.
All right. Well, student body president and senior class president weren't the only items on the ballot.
Up next, we'll tell you what else you could have voted for.
Let's go, man.
Hello, ladies.
Can you imagine your life without animals? Here at the Durham Animal Shelter, we can't. So come see us. Your new best friend is already expecting you.
Let's give it a shot. You can do it this time. I gotta get a real dog.
Sounds like you could use some Van Gogurt. It's fortified with arch-rich nutrients to improve your math and reading skills. Catch!
Van Gogurt, thanks. So what's the deal with your ear?
Always with the ear, huh?
Feed your kids the arts. For 10 simple ways to learn how, visit AmericansForTheArts.org.
If I had asked, what does meth do to your brain? Does meth make you hear voices? Or if I asked, can't you just stop doing meth? My mom wouldn't be asking.
Oh God, what did you do? Oh, baby, hold on, please. Honey! Gerald! Hold still, please. No.
Hey, Sarah.
Oh my gosh, he's so cute. How do you know him?
Come on, Donovan, do it like I taught you. Love the new tattoo, Sarah. Let's go!
Dude, what?
Dude, that's Sarah.
Who's
The girl in the pink shirt. That's the girl I was telling you about.
Oh, that's Sarah? Theater 2 on your left. Hey, Sarah. What color underwear today?
Hey, Sarah. So when you want to post something new?
Anything you post online, anyone can see. Family, friends.
See you later, Sarah.
Even not so friendly people. Think before you post.
Welcome back to this special edition of Carolina Week. We have just gotten word from the BOE that results are 10 minutes out.
Make sure to check out our partners at reesnews.org. They're live tweeting and taking you behind the scenes of this broadcast, as well as streaming our program tonight. Besides student body president, rising seniors got the opportunity to vote for senior class president and vice president teams today. Reporter Amber Roberts is live in the newsroom with more. Amber?
Hi, Preston. Right now I'm standing here with our first pair of class presidents. Please introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Sarah Maffei, and I'm a global studies major.
And I'm Brennan Fox, and I'm a health policy and management major.
And how are you all feeling about this election process?
I think we're pretty excited right now. We're just waiting for the results, a little anxious, but we've enjoyed the campaign trail a lot. It's been great meeting people, and yeah.
And, you know, whatever happens, we like all the other candidates, and we wish them well, too, so it was a good experience.
Thank you all for being here. We wish you the best of luck. Next up, we have our next pair of class presidents. Could you please introduce yourselves?
Yeah, I'm Adam Jutha. I'm a junior, health policy management major as well from Toronto.
I'm Sarah, and I'm in the School of Nursing.
And tell us a little bit about how you all are feeling tonight about this process.
Feeling good. We're really excited. We've had a great campaign, and we've really enjoyed getting to know Tim and Nora and Brennan and Sarah. And so we're really excited no matter what happens tonight.
Yeah, now that the polls are closed, it's kind of relaxed in here, except for we just heard the results are coming in, but we're all just hanging out, chatting, and enjoying each other's company. So I'm excited.
Well, we wish you the best of luck, and again, good luck.
Thank you.
Next up, we have our last pair of candidates. Could you please introduce yourself?
Hey, I'm Nora Chan, and I'm a PR major.
Hi, I'm Tim Palmer, and I'm a business administration major.
And like the other candidates, could you tell us how you all are feeling about this process right now?
I think we're feeling good. We've had so much support, and we're just so grateful for everyone who's helped us on our campaign, and we're feeling really great.
Yeah, really excited for tonight, so see how it goes.
Well, again, we wish you all the best of luck. Amber Roberts, live in the newsroom, back to the studio.
All right, Amber, thank you. Now, student body president candidates were not the only candidates on tonight's ballot. 8 district representatives for Student Congress will be decided in tonight's election. The districts are divided based on whether the candidate is a graduate or undergraduate and where they live around campus. The 3 uncontested races were Residence Hall Association President, Carolina Athletic Association President, and the Graduate and Professional Student Federation President. Now, Sydney Swafford is joining us back now in the studio to talk a little bit more about our campaign coverage tonight. Now, Sydney, regarding the senior class presidents, we were talking earlier about how not all juniors had the opportunity to vote, and even some sophomores did instead.
Exactly. There was a glitch in the system. It's been a shift from the last few years. ITS used to run the voting software system, and I was speaking with the Board of Elections chair, and she said, we're not really sure how they got the right numbers, but in the past, when we voted for senior class president, we weren't asked what year we were just allowed to vote, and we didn't have a lot of problems with it. Now this year, those numbers were done by credit hours. So those juniors who had enough credit hours to be a senior suddenly weren't able to vote for for senior class president.
So to clear that up a little bit, like I came in with some extra credit hours from high school, or I took some summer courses, and that would have put me ahead. So I would have maybe not have been eligible had I been a junior this year.
Exactly, you might not have been eligible. Or if you were a sophomore and you had those extra credit hours, all of a sudden you're seeing that on the ballot too.
Now, is there any way to correct this? Did the BOE try anything to resolve this matter?
There is. I spoke with the BOE about it, and ultimately this really doesn't come down to the BOE's fault on this issue, I think. There was a way to correct it in the system. You are able to contact some administrator to tell her that you are not actually a senior, you're a junior. But it's a really complicated process, basically, and you don't have a lot of people who are going to do that just to cast one vote.
That sounds like a major turnoff if you're a voter, yeah.
And just one more in a series of turnoffs tonight.
Right, right.
Well, we heard a little bit from the students in the pit about what last year's dirty elections, and how that affected people's view of this year's election. So what do you think? Are we heartened because this year's weren't as dirty, or are we just disenfranchised?
I think that's a really good question. This year's campaign process on paper seems to be so clean. I spoke with Board of Elections chair earlier tonight, and she said as of then, there were no complaints filed from any of the candidates. Now, this time last year, we were dealing with lawsuits, candidates just all up in flames about it. But I'm not sure that that is necessarily because violations haven't occurred, or if people are just hesitant to report it this year. The 2 candidates who were up in arms last year, neither of them won. I think that was a huge disadvantage to their campaign processes, that they were so combative. So
now, could we expect a lawsuit after the election? Is that even a possibility?
It is a possibility.
Okay.
It is definitely a possibility. I can't speak for any of the campaigns, but personally, I would be on the lookout.
Right.
I would definitely be on the lookout with this election.
All right, Sydney, well, thank you for your expertise. We'll be rejoining you later in the show.
All right.
Coming up next, we're going to look at Mary Cooper's year as student body president.
Hey, Sarah.
Oh my gosh, he's so cute. How do you know him?
Come on, Donovan, do it like I taught you. Love the new tattoo, Sarah. Let's go!
Dude, what? Dude, that's Sarah. The girl in the pink shirt. That's the girl I was telling you about.
Oh, that's Sarah?
Theater 2 on your left. Hey, Sarah. What color underwear today?
Hey, Sarah. So when are you going to post something new?
Anything you post online, anyone can see. Family, friends.
See you later, Sarah.
Even not so friendly people. Think before you post.
Sounds like you could use some Van Gogurt. It's fortified with arts-rich nutrients to improve your math and reading skills. Catch!
Van Gogurt. Thanks. So what's the deal with your ear?
Always with the ear, huh?
Feed your kids the arts. For 10 simple ways to learn how, visit AmericansForTheArts.org.
Well, tonight means a lot of things for a lot of different people, but it does mark the beginning of the end for Mary Cooper as student body president. I sat down with her earlier today to take a look back at her time in office, the good and the not so good. Take a look. Last spring, Mary Cooper was inaugurated as student body president. 10 months later, Cooper is looking back at her term, the successes and the disappointments alike.
While tuition has been something that's been on the front page, we've had a lot of, I would say, back page successes that, have been really rewarding.
She's talking about initiatives such as Fix My Campus, a program where students can email, text, or even tweet their campus complaints to student government. It's been up and running since January.
Fix My Campus has been a way that students are able to tell problems, ideas, concerns, and kind of have this, and the doors of student government are opening.
Cooper also took it to the streets for a flat-rate taxi option, but it turned into a revamping of the entire Chapel Hill taxi ordinance.
The dream was that we have a very bad taxi infrastructure in Chapel Hill, and that, we need more reliable pricing. And so that's kind of where the idea came from. But what it's turned into is awesome.
She'll get her answer about the taxis in April, but she says she has a solid success to enjoy right now, and it's about printing.
I was running, everyone said, Mary, that's not going to happen. That's not feasible. There's no way you can get a printer in a Greek house. There's a printer in a Greek house right now that's working, that's CCI.
And then there was the war on tuition hikes. Increases aside, Cooper says she's glad of what she learned from the experience.
My administration now knows ways that we can make the process better. All of it is worth it because it was another chance for students to show how much they believe in this idea of a state-funded university and how students are so integral in how we move forward.
So is this a lame duck period for Cooper? After all, her term isn't over for almost 2 months.
While it feels kind of like the end, there's still a lot of exciting things going on that are worth keeping going for.
Mary couldn't join us here in the studio tonight, and just between me and you and all of our viewers, I think she's out for Valentine's Day.
And after dealing with all of the tuition issues and everything else, I think she probably deserves some time off.
She does.
All right, well, looking at Mary Cooper's year in review, a lot has happened for Mary. I've interviewed her multiple times. Each of us has seen her at the Board of Governors, at the Board of Trustees, at all types of meetings, and she's really been an active participant with talking to students and getting their voices heard.
She absolutely has, and she told me, like I said, it was thrust upon her, but I think that is what she feels very, very good about within her campaign. I asked her point blank, I said, Mary, are you happy with your efforts? When you look back, do you feel that you did what you could? And she said, yes, Kathleen. I called everyone, I emailed everyone, I wrote letters to everyone. She is so proud of her staff, and she is especially proud of all the students who came together to support her and to support their own beliefs, even if it was against hers, and to support President Tom Ross's plan. So, it's...
All right, well, turning back now to the voter turnout, I should say. We mentioned earlier that we were about 3,000 votes shy of what we were last year. Again, all these technology things. Was there something else besides the technology that you think kept people away?
We definitely talked about the technology, but also just going back to how dirty last year was. I think that's a big deal this year. I know I talked to a lot of younger voters, underclassmen, sophomores in particular, who were freshmen last year. That was their first taste of student government elections at Carolina, and it was not a good taste. I think a lot of people did not vote because of that.
I mean, there was something in the DTH every day. We were doing stories about people getting sued, all types of campaign controversy. This season has absolutely been much drier than years in the past, I'd say.
It definitely has. The BOE has not had to deal with with a lot of lawsuits yet. Now, what will happen in the future, we can't really say.
And also, you know, with just 3 candidates, it seems like, you know, a smaller field of this election season than what we had going on last year with all the controversy, for sure.
Well, it does. And I think the candidates definitely took that to heart, just how dirty last year was, and formulating their campaigns this year, really knew that the students on this campus don't have a lot of tolerance for name calling or for really making it a dirty election. It does not get you elected.
Right.
Absolutely not. Switching gears a little bit, I'm so interested in this write-in candidate, this serious write-in candidacy.
And you sat down with him.
I did. I spoke with him earlier. He's the nicest person you will ever meet. But he really took it to heart that just because he's not on the ballot, he doesn't have to give up his campaign. And I think, you know, he's out there in our newsroom right now waiting to hear the results. He's probably a little nervous, I would guess. But I think the BOE is on their way, aren't they?
Right, they are on their way. We've received word, actually, that they were on their way to Carroll to give us the results. But tell me about this important ASG vote coming up next week.
Oh, that's going to be interesting. Just in the sake of disclosure, I did work for ASG my first 2 years at UNC. We're looking at whether or not UNC wants to continue paying money to the association.
Right. All right. Well, Sydney, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
All right.
Well, looks like the BOE is here, so coming up next, we will get us some results.
Don't change that channel.
If you have a story idea, call Carolina Week at 919-843-8292 or email us at carolinaweek@unc.edu. If you have questions about this program, write to Carolina Week, Campus Box 3365, UNC-CH, Chapel Hill, North Carolina 27599. Be sure to check out Carolina Week online at carolinaweek.org. Connect with us online by liking the Carolina Week Facebook page and following us on Twitter at Carolina Week UNC.
Up to 40% of businesses never recover after experiencing a major disaster. Make a plan at ready.gov/business.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
Welcome back to this special edition of Carolina Week.
We are going live into the newsroom where the BOE is just walking into the doors of Carroll right now to deliver the results. We're very excited about that. You can see there the 3 candidates and all the candidates tonight. We have Tim Longus, Calvin Lewis, and Will Limenstall anxiously awaiting. You see the BOE walking in right now. Everyone's packed into our newsroom. They are so excited to find out, and they are ready to announce the results. Here we go.
Do this. I'm going to start with the uncontested votes just to build up a little bit of suspicion and anxiety. Carolina Athletic Association, total of 4,477 votes, goes to Jonathan Flynn with 4,124 votes. Residence Hall Association, with a total of 2,525 votes, goes to Heather Robertson with 2,398 votes. GPSF, with a total of 404 votes, goes to Michael Bertucci with 383 votes. And now to move on to Student Congress. District 1, which is North Campus, with a total of 878 votes. In first place, Connor Brady with 450 votes. In second place, Anya McDermott with 302 votes. Third place, Peter McClellan with 266 votes, and Jocelyn Burney with 254 votes. District 2, which is Middle Campus, still remains empty as nobody ran on the ballot and nobody got enough seats to win themselves a seat in this district. District 3, which is South Campus West, with a total of 547 votes. In first place, Brad Dunnigan with 381 votes. And in second place, Austin Root with 369 votes. And in third place, Joshua Aristi with 25 votes. District 4, which is South Campus East, with a total of 543 votes. Lauren Smith in first place with 510 votes, and Marnie Krenbrink with 3 votes in second place. Just giving everybody their fair share. District 5, which is Granville, with a total of 253 votes. Brittany Best in first place with 236 votes, and Megan Boyles in second place with 14 votes. District 6, which is the Greek housing vote, with a total of 90 votes. Wes Hodgen wins that seat with a total of 78 votes. District 7, which is off-campus housing, with a total of 3,623 votes. In first place, Nishma Patel with 1,505 votes. Second place, Travis Creighton with 1,418 votes. Third place goes to Laura Bush with 1,370 votes. Fourth is Ross Hardiman with 1,333 votes. Jacob Morse with 1,322 votes. Michael Braxton with 1,248 votes. Derek Murray with 1,199 votes. Jonathan Stupak with 1,196 votes. Austin Gilmore as a write-in with 65 votes, and Jared Simmons as a write-in with 42 votes. District 8, which is on-campus housing, with a total of 244 votes. In first place, Paige Comparado with 116 votes, and Amber Pace in second place with 109 votes. District 9, which is one of the graduate school districts, with a total of 55 votes, all of which were write-ins. Stephanie Malini with a total of 7 votes, Zachary Ferguson with also a total of 7 votes, and Joseph Strader with a total of 6 votes. District 10, another graduates district with a total of 104 votes. First place goes to Kim Niver with 82 votes. Oh, I'm sorry, it's a 3-way tie. Kim Niver, Sean Griffin, and Daniel Rojas, all with 82 votes. The other 4 seats will remain empty. District 11, which is the third grad student district, with a total of 242 votes, again, all of which are write-ins. In first place, Elizabeth Sawyer with 32 votes. Second place is Janine Navarrete with 30 votes. Third is Kristen Dolan with 30 votes. Steve Milder with also 30 votes, another 3-way tie. And the 5th seat goes to Alex Rubble with a total of 28 votes. And now for the 2 not-so-contested offices. Senior class officers will go first. For the first time in my history, there will be a runoff that takes place next week. A total of 1,465 votes were cast today. In third place, Brennan and Sarah with 315 votes. In second place, Adam and Sarah with 466 votes. And in first place, Tim and Nora with 621 votes. And last but certainly not least, the student body president vote, again, which will move to a runoff next week, with a total of 4,507 votes. In third place, Tim Longest with 1,038 votes, which is 23.03% of the vote. In second place, Calvin Lewis with 1,042 votes, which is 23.12% of the vote. And in first place, Will Limenstall with 2,117 votes, which is 46.97% of the votes. Congratulations, everybody. Okay, we're gonna be.
Well, you just heard it. There will be a runoff election next week. We're going to have the 2 candidates in that election coming up after this quick break. Stay with us.
outs with a runner on first base. Now the big guy comes up to bat, hitting .342 with 92 RBIs and 36 homers. His first pitch is fouled to his back.
Chill raw and prepared foods promptly. 1 in 6 Americans will get sick from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
Turning a 20-foot wall into a canvas takes vision. So will getting into college. I've got what it takes. So do you.
We already had 4, so I went from becoming a family man to a man with a bigger family. You can't eat love, so I don't know how I'm gonna feed them tonight. How was that, Rich?
I think I look more like Denzel.
That's cold, man.
Play a role in ending hunger. Visit feedingamerica.org/hunger and find your local food bank.
How you doing? My name's Steve. My family's lived in this neighborhood for years. Recently, things got so tight, we had to go to our local food bank for help. I lost a lot of sleep worrying about what the neighbors might think. That is until I saw them there, too. How'd I do, Steve?
A little stiff. You could have done a little better.
What? Come on. You know, I have an Academy Award.
Yeah, but not for playing me.
Play a role in ending hunger. Visit feedingamerica.org/hunger and find your local food bank.
Welcome back to this special election edition of Carolina Week. For those of you just joining us, it has been confirmed that there will be a runoff election next week. Joining us now are the 2 candidates in that election. We have Calvin Lewis and Will Limenstall. Guys, congratulations for making it this far. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
We do really appreciate it. So, Will, I'm going to ask you a couple questions. First of all, what is your reaction? You received 46.9% of the vote tonight. You will proceed to the runoff next week. What are you thinking?
I'm in shock. I cannot believe it. I'm just so excited to have the opportunity to go to the runoff. I love my team. I can't believe I did that well. I'm really excited. Wow. I am overwhelmed.
I'm sure you are. And with 46.9% of the vote, I mean, that means you were just a few percentage points off from not even having an election, which is pretty uncommon in a 3+ person race. How does that make you feel about your campaign so far?
I've said it the whole time. I have had an amazing team behind me. Could not have done it without them, and I think that just shows how incredible they are, and we've worked really, really hard for this, and I think that we've done it for the right reasons, and I'm really excited.
It sounds like it. Well, thank you so much for being here with us. We're going to move over to Calvin.
All right, Calvin, what's your initial reaction? You are one of the contenders for student body president next week. How are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm really glad to have made it this far.
What's your plan for the next week? You know, we have a whole week between tonight and the next election. What are you going to be doing in this next week to prepare for that?
I'm definitely going to have to get out, meet more people, shake more hands, talk to more people about what I plan on doing next year, and let students know that I really do want to represent them as student body president.
All right, well, we would like to thank both of you for joining us. We will see you both back here Tuesday night for our runoff election. You can follow us at Carolina Week. You can check out all of our coverage on reesenews.org, and you can always tune in next Tuesday night where we will have a winner.
Well, that does it for this edition of Carolina Week. Join us tomorrow night at 5 for our weekly coverage. Thanks for watching.
Good night.